So it is day 26. It is Wednesday, February 26th. And during our little timer for the do now, I had you guys work on your exit tickets if they were not finished. And then I gave you a few problems to solve on your own. So let's start by looking at number 1. Looking at inequalities now. So, would anybody like to lead us in solving number 1? Jessica?
You have to get the x by itself first, so you have to subtract 8 from each side.
Perfect. We want to get x by itself. So first we subtract 8.
Your 8's cancel, even 2x is greater than.
Perfect. My 8's cancel. I get 2x is greater than.
The answer is 8.
8.
Then you're not done. You have to divide by 2 on each side.
Yes. And then divide by 2 on each side.
Your 2 cancel out. Your x is greater than 4.
Perfect. We get x is greater than 4. Very nice. Very nice. So let's graph that. I'm going to go ahead and start by giving myself a little number line. And I'll write a little minus and a plus and a tick mark in the middle. So what do I do, Jessica?
You put your answer, you put your 4 above the tick mark.
Perfect. 4.
You circle the tick mark.
Circle it.
Do not shade it in.
Do not shade it. Good.
And then you shade to the right.
Shade to the right. Good. So tell me, how come we don't color our circle in?
Because it's not greater or equal to.
Yes. We have x is greater than 4. 4 is not included as a possibility of what x can be. It's only numbers bigger than 4. So we don't color that circle in to show that it's only numbers bigger than 4, not 4. We only color the circle if there's a line under our greater than symbol, which means greater than or equal to. So that's good. Now, how also did you know to shade to the right and not the left?
Because the arrow's pointing right.
Yes, because our arrow is pointing to the right. Very good. Any questions on number 1? Good deal. Okay, let's look at number 2. Remember, there's 2 different ways we could go about solving this one. If 4 times x minus 2 is less than or equal to 24. What should I do here? Who would like to guide me through this one? Someone else? Michelle? How do we do it?
I distributed 4 times x.
Okay.
And 4 times minus 2.
Perfect. So 4 times x, 4x.
Then minus 8.
Minus 8. And I'll bring everything else down. Less than or equal to 24. Okay, what'd you do next, Michelle?
And then I did plus 8.
Perfect.
Plus 8.
Mm-hmm.
The 8 cancel.
8 cancel.
8 plus 24 is 32.
Good, 32.
Then I bring everything else down. 4x and greater than something.
So this is our less than or equal to. It's easy to mix those up, but here we go. We've got 4x is less than or equal to 32. And what next?
And then I divided 4x and 32 by 4x.
Perfect.
The 4's get canceled. 32 divided by 4 is 8.
8. So we get x
Less equal to 8.
X is less than or equal to 8. Very nice. Good, good. Okay. Now, Michelle, would you also tell me, how do I graph this? I'll go ahead and start with a number line.
Yes, and then circle, I put 8 in the middle,
And put 8 in the middle.
and then we're going to graph the middle.
Mhm.
And on the left side.
Okay, so when you say graph the middle, do you mean color the circle in?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So shade in the middle and shade to the left. Perfect. Connect those so we see that this is for number 2. No, it's a little unorganized, but that's our graph. Good job. That's perfect. Perfect. Okay, so that was number 1 and number 2. Connect this one as well. Beautiful. Do we have any questions on number 1 or number 2 before we do the rest? Everybody okay with those? That's good. Okay, let's look at number 3. Would somebody else like to guide me through number 3? Any takers? I know you got it, girl. You're doing great in here. Okay, Jessica, do it again. Tell us how to do it.
You multiply by 3 on each side.
Perfect. 3 times 3.
Your 3's cancel out.
Mm-hmm.
And your x minus 2 is less than 4 now. Or no, you leave it. Sorry.
Oh, you're okay.
That answer is 12.
Perfect. 4 times 3 is 12, and that was a good catch.
And then from there, you're going to add 2 on the side.
Perfect. Add 2 on both sides.
Choose cancel.
Mm-hmm. I choose cancel.
And your x is less than 14.
Yes, x is less than 14. Amazing. That is so good. Okay, how do we graph it?
Put your tick line.
Mm-hmm. Multipline.
Then you put your 14.
Perfect.
You circle the tick line, color that in.
Color in the circle?
Nope.
Oh, good.
I
Yes, we
myself.
don't color in the
Nope, you
circle.
don't color in, but you shade to the left.
Yes, we shade to the left where the arrow is pointing. Very, very good.
I was looking at problem number 4.
What did you say? Oh, were you looking at number 4?
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, that one's a little bit different. Perfect. There we go. Okay, do we have any questions about number 3? Make sense to everybody? Okay. How about number 4? Anybody want to give this one a go? Brian, you want to do it?
I will do it for you.
Do it! What do we do?
We first multiply 2 on both sides.
Yes. Multiply 2 on both
You
sides.
cancel the 2,
Cancel the 2's.
then you answer that with 47.
23.5 times 2 is 47.
Bring down the 2x plus 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to subtract 1 from 47.
Oh,
and
we're missing one thing.
I'm sorry, the less than or equal to.
Greater.
Greater. That's okay. Greater than or equal to. Okay, now continue.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And then you're going to subtract 1 from the 1.
Huh?
And 1 from 47.
Yes.
That's 46. And it cancels out the 1. Bring down the greater or less than equal to or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the 2x.
Good.
And then you're going to divide 2 on both sides.
5 by 2.
And then you're going to have x equal, x greater or equal to 23.
Yes. We're going to get x is greater than or equal to 23. Perfect.
On your line graph, you're going to draw a line, plus and minus on each side,
Mm-hmm.
with a little thing in the middle, I guess a tally.
Yes.
And put 23 and go to the right with a.
Oh, what are we
clone.
missing? Yes. A closed circle. Why is it a closed circle and not open?
Because it be
Greater or
23
equal
or
to.
another.
Yes, because it's greater than or equal to. That or equal to tells us the color of the circle in. And we shade to the right. Awesome. So good, guys.
Maybe with a fraction. Or a decimal point.
Yes. Well, I had to put a decimal point here because after I wrote this side of my equation, I realized no matter what number I put over here, if I did a whole number, we would get a decimal for an answer because of that +1. I won't go through it because it'll take too long. But anyway, it was necessary to get a whole number answer.
Yeah. Thanks for using my favorite number too.
23 is?
23 is my favorite number.
Nice. Okay. How do we feel about these, guys? Feeling okay? Pretty confident? Yay. Good. That is so wonderful.
The only problem for me, I get mixed up with the signs, and then I don't know say from the left or from the right.
Okay.
I will have to look at my notes.
Yes. And that's okay. That's something that's a little bit tricky. But I'm going to show us that little trick one more time. Something that we can do to help us decide which direction to shade is to look at the symbol. So, for example, on number 1, I shaded to the right because my symbol is greater than, because it's pointing to the right, we shade to the right. On number 2, my symbol is pointing to the left. So we shaded to the left. On number 3, my symbol is again pointing to the left. So we shade to the left. And one last example on number 4, our symbol is pointing to the right. So we shade to the right. So sometimes adding a little line on your symbol, it'll turn it into an arrow. And that arrow tells us which direction to color it in. So, little trick that always helped me remember, maybe it will help you guys too. But turn your symbol into an arrow, and then it tells you, do it this way.
I have a question on number 4.
Say it one more time.
I have a question about number 4.
Yes, go ahead.
How do you end up with 46 when you add 1 on both sides?
How did I end up with 46? Ooh, because we
Never
started.
mind.
You see
I
it?
read it wrong.
That's okay. Yep, so I'll show again what you just asked because it might help somebody else. We had +1. To get rid of that, we actually did -1 on both sides. 47 minus 1 is 46. There we go. Awesome. Any other questions on this? You guys are doing great. Makes me happy. That was wonderful. Can I teach you something new? No. It's not too new. I'm going to rip this page out unless anyone else needs it. Can I tear it out? I'm going to do it. Okay. This is the last new thing that I'll teach you today. I might give you something a little extra next week, but it will be worth bonus points if I do on the final. But this is the last real topic that I'm going to give you. So, let's start a page of notes. This is day 26 notes.
It's unit 3, right?
It is unit 3.
Okay.
Yes. And you can put that up there if you like to keep track of that. One of our notes. And we've been learning about inequalities. I'm going to add something different now. We're going to learn about compound inequalities. You guys get that written down. I'm going to pause this and I'm going to grab my notes for today, and then I will unpause and I will teach you what this means. So a compound inequality is, instead of having one answer for x, we have two answers for x, and they go on the same graph. And let me show you how that works. There's two types of compound inequalities, and we're going to call the first type an and inequality. And then we'll draw kind of a line down the middle of our page. And then there is an or inequality. I'll explain what both of those mean. I think I'm going to make that darker. So whenever we have an and inequality, we will have a graph where our shading points together. And I'll show you what that looks like. Here's what I mean by that. Let me get a ruler so I have a straight edge. For example, actually, I'm not going to draw my line just yet. Here's an example. Let's say I have x is greater than 1 and x is less than 10. This is what it will look like. X is greater than 1 and x is less than 10. So we'll focus just on the and inequalities for now. And now I will draw a graph and show you how this will look. The only difference with a compound inequality is that since we have two values for x, we don't just have one tick mark. Now we have two tick marks. So I'm going to put 2 marks on my line. Now this part is optional, but I'm going to color code this. I'm going to use colors to show what's going on here. So let's see, I'll use blue and green. So I'm going to show my x is greater than 1 in light blue, and my x is less than 10 in this greenish color. Now the first thing I need to decide is, where do I write 1 and where do I write 10? So on a number line, we list numbers from smallest to biggest, least to greatest. Which of these numbers is smaller? 1. So we're going to put 1 on the first tick mark. Right there. And we're going to put 10 on the second tick mark. Now we'll focus on 1 first. For x is greater than 1, should I have an open circle or a closed circle?
Open.
Open. It's just greater than, not greater than or equal to. How about for 10? Open or closed?
Open.
Also open. Good. So here's where it gets tricky, is deciding how to shade. I see that for x is greater than 1, my greater than symbol tells me to shade this way, to the right. So I'm going to draw a little line going this way just to tell myself I'm going to shade that way, but I don't want to color it in just yet. We're just making a mental note. And then for x is less than 10, my less than symbol
Goes to the left.
tells me to shade this way, to the left. Good. So I'll draw a little arrow like that. So here's our options for shading. We know we're going to be shading this way of 1 and that way of 10. So we're going to shade just this area. That's our answer. Whenever our symbols and our numbers are pointing at each other, we shade in between like this.
So it's kind of like the equal sign.
It is kind of like the equal sign, yeah. So x can be any number that is bigger than 1 or any number that is smaller than 10. X is all these numbers in between. So kind of cool.
2 through 9.
Could be 2 through 9, absolutely. Okay, so there's one example. Let me show you another example. How about x is less than or equal to 12 and x is greater than 5. So we'll start the same way. I'm going to give myself a number line to graph on. Instead of 1 tick mark, I draw 2 tick marks. I get that drawn on. But once you have your number line drawn, you have your 2 tick marks. We need to start thinking about which number will I write on which tick mark. So let's think about it for a moment. And tell me if you think you know which one, Jessica.
Like you would put the 5 on the first one because it's smaller.
Yes. Yes. That is absolutely right. So our two numbers are 12 and 5. Since 5 is smaller, we put 5 first. The smaller number comes first. Because on a number line, our numbers start smaller on the left side and they get bigger on the right side. That little minus and plus should help us remember that. And for the 12, we're going to put it here. Now, is anybody confused about why we wrote 5 before 12? Or does this make sense to everybody? Okay, if it doesn't make sense, make sure you speak up so I can help explain. But if it makes sense, then great. That's wonderful. Okay, so I have my numbers on my line. What do I do next?
You circle the tick line.
Yes, let's circle our tick marks. I'm going to start over here on my 5. Will 5 have an open circle or a closed circle? Open. Why is it an open circle?
Because it's great, it's not equal to.
It's not equal to. It's greater than 5. So we leave it open. How about 12?
Closed circle.
Closed circle. Why is it closed?
Because it's less than or equal to 12.
Good, because this time it's less than or equal to, so we color it in.
And you just shade in the middle between the circles.
You just shaded the middle. Good. Same thing that happened last time. For 12, we have a less than or equal to symbol. For 5, we have greater than. Notice how my 5 is pointing this way. My 12 is pointing that way. They're pointing towards each other. So we shade in the middle. Pretty cool.
Does the blue one go further?
Nope. They're doing the same thing. The different colors are not meant to confuse. I'm just showing, I guess, the
Yeah, I'm
difference
just
in.
curious because it's less than or equal to, I mean, here we go. Pat,
Ooh, good question. So are you wondering if the equal to means that it covers more numbers?
yeah, like necking the number.
Technically, yes, because we're including the number that we circled.
Right.
So technically you do have one extra option. Yeah. I've never actually thought about that. Smart thinking. Yes, technically if it's equal to, it does have more options. But I won't ask you that. That is true though. Nice. Okay. Do we have any questions about this example? Does everybody understand where my numbers came from? Where my shading happens? Okay. So anytime we have a compound inequality that has and written in between, you will always shade in the middle. If there is the word and, you will always shade in the middle. Always. If your graph is not shaded in the middle of the numbers, then you know you might have done something incorrectly. So now we're going to look at or inequalities. So I'm going to give you a few examples of an or compound inequality. For example, let's say, I'll use the same numbers actually. X is less than 1 or X is greater than 10. A line. Same as before. See what, guys, inequalities are one of my favorite things to teach. I think that it is so satisfying when you're coloring in your little line. I just think it's fun. It's a little break from writing numbers all day. Okay, so I have my compound graph. And then I have X is less than 1 or X is greater than 10. So first, let's decide which number goes where. Which number do I write first?
The 1.
The 1,
One.
because it's smaller. We always put the smaller number first. So 1, and that means 10 goes over here. Okay. Now for the tick mark under 1, will my circle be open or closed?
Open.
Open, good. How about for 10?
Open.
Also open. Beautiful. So now we're going to look at our symbols. X is less than 1. My less than symbol points left. X is greater than 10. My greater than symbol points right. So where am I shading for 1?
To the left.
To the left. Good. Where am I shading for 10?
Right.
To the right.
So you basically just have a big gap in the middle. Of
Yes.
the line.
Yes. So for an or inequality, you will always shade outside of the two numbers. And is always inside, or is always outside. A good way to remember that is when you say and, we have an inside. For or, I have or outside. They have the same starting sounds. So that could be a little trick to help you remember. I also know that and is usually a word that we use to combine things. When you say this and that, it usually means this and that are together. When you say or, it's usually referring to options. I want that or this, and they're separate. So there is an or inequality. I'm going to give you one more example, just for good measure. Use the same numbers again. X is greater than or equal to 12, or X is less than 5. One last. So for the second or inequality, which number goes on the line first?
5.
5. Good. And so 12 must go on the next tick mark.
So 5 will be an open circle.
Yes, 5 will be an open circle.
12 will be a closed circle.
12 will be closed. Good.
From the 5 you shade to the left. The 12 you shade to the right.
Perfect. Perfect. So from 5, because it's less than, it's pointing left, we shade to the left. 12, it's greater than or equal to, is pointing right, we shade to the right. Very nice. So that's our note page for compound inequalities. Was that so bad, guys? It's not too bad. It's a little bit extra over what we've just done. However, the only new thing we really have to remember is that on the number line, the smaller number comes first. So if you wanted to make a note of that, we could. Let's see. How do I want to write that? The bigger number goes here. So I have a worksheet for you guys that I guess I forgot to make copies of. So I am going to run and make copies of this worksheet. And I will pause this recording in the meantime. Okay, so here's this worksheet, and this will also be our day 26 exit ticket. You will be turning in number 2 and number 8. You can finish the rest for practice if you like, but these are the only 2 I'm grading. So I will have these here. When you finish, you are free to go, and that is it today.